The story will be told from the perspective of the main female character. I discovered the truth about my family on Christmas Eve. That was the night my parents handed me a suitcase and forced me out of the house. The door slammed shut right in front of my face. My sister stood inside where the warm light spilled onto the porch, smiling like she had just watched something entertaining. She leaned closer and whispered softly, "Let's see how you do, Mary." Not long after that, I was sitting alone on a freezing park bench with snow slowly piling around me. My whole body was trembling. Breathing felt painful and my fingers burned from the icy air. Then I noticed an older woman walking nearby with no shoes on her feet. Her skin had turned a deep purple shade from the cold. I didn't stop to think about it. I pulled off my winter boots and handed them to her. About an hour later, 15 black BMWs rolled up and surrounded me. Every door opened at exactly the same moment. The same woman stepped out of one of the cars, and the words she spoke next completely changed everything I believed about my life. My name is Mary. For most of my life, I believed surviving meant staying quiet, keeping your head down, and working harder than everyone else. I spent years pretending that my family wasn't slowly breaking apart. From the outside, people believed we were perfect. They saw the large house in Oak Ridge, the carefully written holiday cards, and the smiling family photos we sent every December. To everyone else, we looked like a happy family, but that picture wasn't real. Inside our house, love came with conditions. It was only given when you followed the rules perfectly. I learned very early that I was the child people rarely noticed. My sister was always the shining star of the family. I was just expected to clap and celebrate her success. She received the biggest birthday cakes, the loudest praise, and the most attention. When I achieved something, I was told to be grateful for what I already had. Even when I studied harder, worked longer, and tried twice as much, my father would simply shake his head and say the same sentence. "Try to be as good as your sister." My mother never stopped him. She just stayed silent like she didn't hear it. Because of that, I poured all of my effort into my career at an advertising company. I stayed late at the office, worked through weekends, and even gave up holidays. That job became the only place where my effort felt like it actually mattered, but even that didn't last. One morning, I arrived at work and opened an email about layoffs. When I tried to enter the building, my ID card didn't work anymore. Just like that, I was done. I packed the few things from my desk into a box and drove 45 minutes back to Oak Ridge. I felt completely numb during the drive. I called my mother on the way home and told her I needed to stay there for a while. She sounded distracted, almost like she wanted to end the call as quickly as possible. That should have been a warning sign, but when you're used to people only tolerating you, you accept whatever small kindness they offer. When I pulled into the driveway, the house looked beautiful. Warm lights glowed through the windows, and decorations covered the front porch like something from a holiday movie. But the moment I stepped inside, the atmosphere felt wrong. My sister stood in the living room beside her boyfriend, his hand resting comfortably on her waist. He looked amused, like he was waiting for a performance to begin. My father was opening a bottle of champagne and didn't even bother looking up when I entered. My mother stood nearby, touching the necklace around her neck, avoiding my eyes. I told them I had lost my job. My sister raised her eyebrows and lifted her phone, pointing the camera straight at me. She repeated my words loudly so the party staff nearby could hear. That was when I realized something had already been decided behind my back. My family was ready to let me fall. I should have known things were wrong when my father asked me to step into the front hallway. He used the same cold voice he used when firing employees at his company. It wasn't the voice of a father. My sister stood nearby with her phone aimed directly at me. Her boyfriend leaned against the staircase with a smug grin. My mother hovered near the Christmas tree, pretending to fix an ornament. My father didn't invite me to sit down. He simply said my name in a flat tone. "Mary, we made some decisions earlier this year. It's time to be honest." The word honest felt sharp and cold. He explained everything like he was presenting numbers in a business meeting. The family money had been transferred, every dollar of it. $35 million was now entirely under my sister's name. "It's final," he said calmly. "You're 31 years old. You should be able to support yourself. It's time you learned independence." I stared at him, waiting for a smile or a sign that this was some terrible joke, but he stayed serious. My mother finally glanced at me, though only for a brief second. My sister spoke in a fake, gentle voice. This is actually good for you, Mary. You've never been very stable. You're always stressed and jumping between jobs. Dad just wants to help you grow up. I noticed her thumb moving across the phone screen. She was recording me. My throat tightened. You took away my inheritance without even talking to me, I asked quietly. My mother spoke softly. We didn't take it away. We just moved it for my sister's lifestyle, I interrupted. No one responded, which meant I was right. My sister's boyfriend chuckled. Relax, Mary. You're making this too dramatic. My father raised his hand to silence me. You have 15 minutes to gather your things, he said firmly. A security guard will supervise you tomorrow if you need anything else. The room felt like it was spinning around me. 31 years of my life ended in that single moment. I walked upstairs in a daze. Along the hallway were framed photographs, my sister winning competitions, holding trophies, graduating from college. There wasn't a single picture of me. When I reached my bedroom door, I paused. It was the room I had painted myself as a teenager. I packed a few pairs of jeans, some sweaters, and my laptop. Everything else stayed behind. When I came downstairs again, my sister was live streaming. And here's my big sister leaving with her sad little bag, she announced cheerfully. The front door opened and a blast of icy air rushed in. As I stepped outside, something inside my chest cracked. It felt like I finally understood the truth. The freezing wind hit my face the moment that expensive door shut behind me. It made a soft sound that felt like the end of something. I stood there on the porch, watching my breath form white clouds in the air. My fingers were so cold I could barely hold my bag. Inside the house I could hear laughter, music, and the sound of glasses clinking together. My family continued their party while I stood outside trying to survive the cold. Eventually I started walking. I didn't want to stay there any longer. The houses along my street were glowing with warm lights. Through the windows, I could see families laughing and moving around inside like scenes from a movie. My home had never felt like that. Seeing those happy moments only made me feel more alone. Snowflakes settled in my hair and melted on my face. By the time I reached the small park near the church, my legs were shaking badly. I sat down on a metal bench beneath a dim streetlight and began to cry, not loudly, just quietly. I cried for all the years I had spent trying to make my parents proud of me. Losing my job didn't hurt nearly as much as losing my family. That pain felt deep and endless. I sat there for a long time, then I heard slow footsteps approaching. An elderly woman walked toward me. She wasn't wearing any shoes, only thin, wet socks. Her face had turned a frightening purple color from the cold. "Do you know if any shelters are still open tonight?" she asked, her voice shaking badly. Something inside my chest shifted. "I'm not sure," I said softly, "but please take these." I slipped off my winter boots, the only thing keeping my feet warm, and handed them to her. She hesitated. "You shouldn't do that," she whispered. "I know," I replied quietly. "But you're colder than I am." She gently held my hands for a moment before walking away into the snowy night. Strangely, I didn't feel regret. After losing everything, giving away my boots didn't seem like a big sacrifice if it meant she might survive the night. Later, I checked into a cheap motel room that smelled like cleaning chemicals and old smoke. I lay on the bed scrolling through job listings on my phone, even though my eyes burned from exhaustion. Then my phone rang. I didn't recognize the number. At first I ignored it, but when it rang again I answered. A calm female voice spoke clearly. "Mary, Ms. Leaner would like to see you immediately." "A car is waiting for you," I laughed, assuming it had to be some strange prank, but when I glanced out the window my heart nearly stopped. 15 black BMWs were parked outside the motel. The world suddenly felt like it had shifted beneath my feet. The door of the middle car opened. The woman without shoes stepped out, but now she looked completely different. She wore an elegant coat, her hair was styled perfectly, and diamonds sparkled on her wrist. "Mary," she said. She already knew my name. "Get in the car." I climbed into the back seat. The door shut quietly behind me and a glass divider slid up, leaving us alone. "I imagine you're wondering who I am," she said. "That's one way to put it," I replied. She smiled gently. "My full name is Alina Lehner. I run a charity organization in Green Valley. Every Christmas Eve, I leave my home with nothing, no phone, no money. I walk until I meet someone who chooses kindness even when they have nothing left." My throat tightened. "So tonight was a test?" I asked. "It was," she answered softly. "And you passed without hesitation." The car turned onto a quiet street lined with enormous trees. Soon a massive gate opened, revealing a beautiful estate glowing with warm lights. I had lived nearby my whole life but never knew this place existed. Inside the house, the air smelled like wood and fresh flowers. A fireplace crackled gently in the corner. Despite how luxurious everything looked, the atmosphere felt calm and welcoming. Alina motioned for me to sit on a white sofa. "You lost your job today," she said. "Your family forced you out of their house, and even while freezing and heartbroken, you gave your boots to a stranger." She touched the boots placed beside her. "Do you understand how rare that is?" I swallowed nervously. "You had people watching me?" I asked. "My team observed from a distance," she explained. "They saw you check into a motel and pay in cash. They watched you search for jobs and cry. You never called your family for help, and you never tried to track me down for a reward." My face felt warm with embarrassment. "Why me?" I asked quietly. "Because I have no children to inherit my fortune," she said. "I refuse to let strangers control what my husband and I spent our lives building. I want someone who understands what it means to be overlooked, someone who helps others simply because it's right." Her expression softened. "I'm offering you a room in this house, a salary, and a 4-year training program. If you remain the same kind person by the end of it, you will take over the entire charity." For a moment I couldn't breathe. "Are you serious?" I asked. She nodded. "Yes, I am, but what if I fail?" I asked. "You won't," she said. "People who give when they have nothing usually don't fail." I couldn't speak, so I just nodded my head. "Come," she said, "your new life starts right now." After that, it felt like I was living in a new world. On Monday, I moved my things into the east wing of the house. My new room was very bright and looked out over a garden full of roses. Sarah met me there. She was a tall woman who always looked very calm. She handed me a thick folder made of leather. "This is your orientation boot camp," she said. "I hope you are ready." The next month was the hardest time of my life. Every morning when the sun came up, I had to run around a lake. I was with a trainer who used to be in the military, and he was very tough. At breakfast, Alina didn't just talk. She asked me difficult questions about budgets, results, and how to actually change things for people. During the day, I worked at the foundation's office in Chicago. I sat in meetings where people talked about how to turn millions of dollars into something helpful instead of just making themselves look important. At night, I sat at my desk and read. I looked at years of bills, reports, and letters from families who were trying to start over. I wasn't just learning how to do a job, I was learning how to be responsible for others. That kind of work stays with you and makes you want to do your best every single day. There were some mornings when I cried quietly before my meeting started. Some nights I was so tired that I fell asleep right on top of my spreadsheets. But every time I felt like I couldn't do it, I thought about that frozen bench in the snow. I remembered my family closing the door on me and treating me like a stranger. That memory made me keep going. By the start of summer, Eleanor called me into the library. The sun was shining through the colored glass windows onto a folder on the table. "Open it," she said. Inside was a contract for a job. The title was President and CEO of the Eleanor Foundation. It offered a salary I never thought I would earn and power I never thought I would have. "I did not pick you because of those boots," she said. "I chose you because you put in more effort than anyone. You have a broken heart, but you don't pass that pain to other people. You act with integrity even when you think no one is watching." I felt my eyes start to burn. "I don't know what to say," I told her. "Say yes," she whispered. So I signed the paper. That night we sat on the porch and had a drink while the sun went down behind the big trees. For the first time in a very long time, I felt like I had a real foundation under my feet. I felt like someone finally saw me. But life has a way of coming back around to you. It happened on a cold morning in the fall while I was in my big office in Chicago. Sarah knocked on the door. "They are here," she said. "Your parents and your sister, they don't have an appointment." My heart started beating very fast. "Send them in," I said. They looked different than I remembered. They looked smaller and older. They weren't wearing their expensive clothes anymore. My sister had on a plain sweater and her makeup was messy. My father's hair was almost completely white now. My mother was holding a cheap bag and her hands were shaking. My sister was the first one to speak. "We are sorry, Mary, we were mean to you. We know that now," she said. She swallowed hard. "Dad's money is gone. The investments failed. We lost the house. Tyler left me. We need help. Maybe just 1.5 million to start over." 1.5 million? I asked. She said it so easily. "What happened to all that money in the trust?" I asked her, her eyes filled with tears. It was crypto and some other deals. Tyler said would make us 3 times as much money, but it is all gone, she explained. I took a deep breath. I am sorry for what happened to you, I said quietly. But this foundation is for people who never had a chance, not for people who threw their chance away. My father got angry. We are your family, he said. I know, I answered. But being family doesn't mean you don't have to face what you did. I put 3 business cards on the table. These are for people who help with debt and finding jobs. This is what we give to everyone, and I am giving it to you too. My sister's face looked like she was going to cry. You are really not going to give us any money, she asked. No, I said, because I finally understand that saving someone is not the same as helping them stay the same. My mother whispered, we are sorry, and for the first time, I think she really meant it. Security guards walked them out of the building. Sarah stayed by the door. Are you okay? She asked me. I looked out the window at the city. Yes, I said, and I really meant it too. In the weeks after my family left my office, I felt a deep sense of peace. It wasn't that I was happy they were struggling, and I wasn't angry anymore either. It just felt like a long-term injury had finally healed. I didn't go looking for them on social media. I didn't ask Sarah for any news about what they were doing. For the first time in my life, my mother, father, and sister weren't at the center of my thoughts or my choices. I kept my routine. I woke up early to run by the lake, checked on our new programs, and met with people who wanted to help. My days were full of real work, not just trying to survive. Alina watched me, and I could tell she was proud even when she didn't say it out loud. On some evenings, we would sit in the garden wrapped in blankets and drink tea. We talked about new ideas for the foundation and the people we wanted to help next. You have really found your backbone, she told me one night while she brushed a leaf off my coat. You didn't get mean, you just got very clear about who you are. I heard small bits of news about my family from other people. My parents had moved into a very small apartment in Springfield. My sister was working a part-time job and was going to counseling to try and fix her life. Hearing this didn't make me feel good, but it didn't hurt me either. It was just the way things were now. I wasn't the one punishing them. They were just finally facing the real world. The work we did was what really mattered. We started building new houses for people. We made it faster for families to get money when they were in trouble. People who used to live in their cars finally had keys to their own front doors. I saw children laughing in hallways that we had painted a bright sunflower yellow. One night, as I was locking the office doors, I saw my reflection in the glass. I looked tired, but I also looked strong and sure of myself. I realized I didn't need to prove anything to anyone anymore. I had become the person I needed someone else to be for me back when I was younger. On the day we opened our second big housing project, the whole place was full of families, volunteers, and kids running around. When it was time to cut the ribbon, I walked up to the microphone and looked at all the faces in the crowd. Some of them looked hopeful, and some just looked very tired. I thought about myself on that freezing bench in the snow, feeling like I was worth nothing. I told the crowd, you are not something to be thrown away. You are not defined by the people who failed to love you. You are defined by the person you choose to be. When the door is closed and nobody is looking, when the people started clapping, I felt very light inside. I felt like a heavy weight was gone. If this story meant something to you, please share what you think in the comments and subscribe for the next chapter.